Evening, everyone. It's social distancing at the chamber as usual. We're joined by Glenn Hammer for what we call Happy Hour with Hammer. Glenn, we got a special guest tonight, State Representative Jeff Weninger from LD17 in Chandler. Glenn, why don't you say hello to our special guest and get us started?
Representative, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks.
I mean, if ever there was a Chamber of Commerce representative, it's Jeff Weninger, and we just appreciate what you do, your day job, and your great work at the legislature. A few weeks ago, you addressed our Public Affairs Committee, and we usually talk about state stuff. You brought up a provision that was being considered. I don't even believe there was necessarily pen to paper, but it was a Senator Marco Rubio idea that now is called the Paycheck Protection Program, to really help small businesses weather the storm, at least for the next couple months. You're the one who brought that up to our attention and to many of our members. It's the law of the land. Today was day one. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on how things are going with the Paycheck Protection Program, day one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a godsend to everybody. Like anything else, I mean, the government got this together very quickly. And I think the private sector is struggling a little bit with how quickly it came. That's reversed than normal. I think it's going to be great. I mean, it's really a lifeline to the life and the blood of America is the small businesses that make America run. And so basically, you get an average of your monthly payroll. They give you a multiple of that to keep your people hired, to keep those employees, so then they're not on unemployment. And when we are ready to go again, you're primed and ready. You're not spending a month training people and hiring all new people and trying to get your feet under you again. You're already ready to go. And then it also helps you with your rent, if you have a lease on a building and that kind of thing, and utilities, because that's where people don't realize that problems just start. One, if you don't have employees and they're going on unemployment, you have a problem that way. But then if you can't pay your rent, then that landlord can't pay their bank, and it's just it's a never-ending cycle. And so it tries to address both those directions.
What are you hearing from your fellow business owners about this? Is there a buzz? I mean, has the word? It seems that day one, there's quite a bit of knowledge already about something that didn't really even exist as an idea a few weeks ago. Right.
I'm in my office and it's people walking through, which is good, a business partner. So there's a lot of buzz. A lot of people just didn't understand from the beginning. They just heard the word loan and they thought it was a loan. This is forgivable for the majority of it if you spend it the way it's supposed to be spent. So that's a very important distinction. And then I think there's just been a lot of confusion, and you guys have done a great job educating people on this. I've been out talking about it nonstop. Literally, I'll get off a shift at work, and then I'm just on calls and answering messages on Facebook and stuff, mainly 90% about this subject. So I think there's a lot of buzz. There's excitement. I think there was a little fear and frustration today because some of the banks weren't ready. One of the big banks was ready, but people who submitted are, I think, still waiting for answers. I'm hearing anecdotally. And then some people are just don't have it stood up and ready yet. They're saying next week. And then I think you have that natural, even though there's $350 billion allocated to this, you have that natural fear that by the time my bank does it, then the money's going to be gone.
Yeah, the instructions we've had is that you should first go to the banker or lender that you have a relationship with if you're a small business.
Yeah, I've heard that too, and that's good. There is a bank that said that you have to not only be a customer though, but you have to have had a loan product with them before. Yeah. And so I felt bad for Mr. Mnuchin looking at his Twitter feed today because it was pretty intense. But these things are. I mean, if you remember this was a website, the Obamacare website. That this is literally the first day of it. There's a lot of capacity, and everything I've heard from our senators, from Marco Rubio, different people, that they will go back to the well and allocate more money to this program if somehow they didn't estimate the capacity needed.
In fact, earlier today, I started the day on a conference call that the National Association of Manufacturers put together with Senator Rubio. And Senator Rubio said that's absolutely the case. They will go back to the well. There's probably some other things they're going to need to juice up in any package 4. But this is top of the list. This has to work well. And we simply can't have a situation where a business that's eligible gets cut off because they didn't make it in before the $349 billion was allocated.
Right. Representative, you're a small business owner. You run restaurants. Have you been able to shift your operations to delivery and takeout?
We have. I mean, obviously, it's been depleted. So I have 3 total restaurants, and 1 is shut down completely. The other sandwich shop is running delivery and takeout. And then my pizza shop, which is my busiest place. We've really made the transition. I mean, we're full on marked parking spaces, running out to the car. Somebody brings in, prepares the ticket, person in, and the kit gets the stuff from the kitchen. And so we're doing a good amount of business. It's it's way down from what we would normally do, but we've kept all of our employees almost at full strength through this so far. We're just really, we're nothing without our employees, and we want to keep them working. And then 2, again, when you do come out of this, I think the advantage is going to be to the businesses that have a trained and ready workforce that is ready to hit the ground running. And we love our people, and we don't want to retrain and get new people. If we need more people, we'll get it. But.
We, in the Taylor household, we ordered from Floridino's last week, and we tipped your delivery driver like we were mob bosses or something like that. So he made out big time.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you're doing. Have you given any thought, or is it too soon, to what the world looks like when we begin to reopen? Glenn and I are on calls with the U.S. Chamber on a regular basis, and they've started to think about what this looks like. And it could mean that for dine-in restaurants, you might even have to consider reduced capacity. That might be a premature consideration, but already there are groups thinking about this.
Yeah, I mean, like when we came out of the Great Recession, you saw a lot of people didn't necessarily want the housing footprint that they had. They shrunk that footprint, and people were kind of going to the smaller things for a while. I think you'll see that eventually. I mean, I think it's kind of, we ramped up and things have just increased of the kind of regulatory and what you're doing. And I think you'll see the same thing going back down. We spaced tables before it went completely to takeout. We did on our own, put up a lot of space in between the tables. We turned our banquet room into a dining room so we could seat, in the 4 or 5 large rooms we have and spread everybody out. And so maybe if you're allowed to have dine-in again, you get back to where you were slowly as well, incrementally. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's going to be a different world. But I mean, really, you never know how these things are going to work out. I mean, I don't know how much the heat normally with these things, is an alleviator. And so if this hits, if we start getting the relief in the summer when we're at our hottest, I venture to think not as many people will be going out of town, and maybe some people will be coming to Phoenix for the summer.
Yeah, you never know. What you had a town hall. What are your constituents saying? How is all of this going over in terms of the increased restrictions? We're Arizona. There's a spirit here, so I'm just wondering how people are reacting. What's your sense where things stand?
Went great. I mean, I think people were just glad to talk to their elected officials. It was myself and Senator J.D. Mesnard, and just get some real talk and some questions answered. We went through the gamut of everything from the changes we made in education, where to find resources, which we touted the governor's the site a lot that they're using. What is this site exactly? finding it. The ArizonaTogether.org, which just has great information there. And yeah, went through this program, the Paycheck Protection, went through unemployment. A lot of people talking about, do we need masks? The governor made, right before we went live, made his newest pronouncement on the salons and stuff. So we got that word out to people. So two questions that came up, which I just loved, were where can we go to help? Where can we go help people and volunteer? And I thought that was awesome to hear.
I love that.
That's great. All right. So when you're not slinging hash in the kitchen, you are a state legislator. Will we see you again at the Capitol in April, or is it a question of just who knows? We don't know what your activity is going to look like in April.
I think you'll see us again, and I'll be shaven and not as. But I would say it's probably going to follow what the rest of the country is following and what we put out, which is probably beginning of May.
Yeah.
Hopefully get in there and do the rest of our business. There's a lot of good bills and deal with the rest of the budget. We did that baseline budget, but we have more to do with that. And so get in there and get some good things done.
Well, Representative, I know that, speak for Glenn, that the Chamber is very appreciative of your service at the state capitol. And it's the Chamber's belief that you made the right move to work quickly, pass the skinny budget, get out of session, give yourself the room to return. Hopefully you'll be able to do that. But if for some reason you're not, at least you've got a fiscal 21 budget that you.
Right. Yeah. No, I thank you. I appreciate that. And I agree. Hopefully we can get back down there, but we got done what we needed to get done to keep the state moving forward.
Glenn, that's all I've got.
Thank you for being with us, and appreciate what you do day in, day out. And I thought it was a beautiful comment. It's a great way to go into the weekend where you hear from constituents what can they do to help. That's what Arizona is all about. Thank you for your service, Representative.
Thank you. And before I leave, I just want to thank you for the work you guys have done on this paycheck protection. I mean, I don't think people would have been as educated on it. And I'm telling you, there's going to be thousands of businesses saved because of this, and Arizona businesses because we got the word out so much.
Well, you lit a fire under my tuchus. I'll tell you that.
Thanks again, guys.
All right, Representative, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you. Talk to you later, Glenn.
Bye-bye. Good week.